Step into the Fieldhouse, your front row seat to legendary victories and untold stories. Hey, I'm your host, Lance Leonard, breaking down sports from the inside out, along with co-host Jimmy Lackey. It's more than just a game. It's the Fieldhouse Podcast. Hey, welcome into the Fieldhouse Podcast. I'm your co-host here with Jimmy Lackey. I'm Lance Leonard, and we just want to remind you we're so happy to do this. It's the production of the Kids Inc. Sports Network. We've had some great response. We appreciate you guys tuning in, listening in, and all that. Jimmy, are you enjoying it?
Well, this is fun. This is number 8. Can you believe that? I remember it seemed like 1 was yesterday, but this is number 8.
Yeah. We had Broadhurst as number 1. Now we get a great basketball coach coming in.
I tell you every time, it's not work.
It's not work. It's a lot of fun.
This is just fun stuff.
And Jimmy, I haven't talked. If you have any guests you would like us to maybe interview or try to get on, we would love to hear from you. And I've already gotten a few good ideas from you out there, and I appreciate that.
The other thing I'll say is those 2 girls off set, we wouldn't be doing any of this if it wasn't for
them. We bowed down.
So Maddie and Ashley,
yes,
we wouldn't be doing any of this without them. So
you got 2 old dudes, two very intelligent people behind the scenes that make it work.
They can shut the mics off anytime they want,
and they should sometimes. You know what I mean? So yeah,
at least the cameras.
Yeah, that's it's all good. But no, we just want to say we appreciate this. We're having a lot of fun. We're going to continue this, and we'll just try to bring. Whoever it's kind of a hodgepodge right now. We don't have a total niche, but so it's wide open. Whoever you'd like to bring in here and interview, but having a lot of fun with it. And both Jimmy and I have known Coop here for a long time, but just want to give you a little background. I know Coop, you don't want to hear all this, but the last thing Rick Cooper really measures his worth by is like a basketball game or a win or a loss. This is a man who's a family man. It's all about relationships. So I just want to say that first, Coop. I respect that about you. And it's a fact, isn't it, Jimmy?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
I mean, and there's a lot of wins. So first of all, he's a native of West Virginia. Mm-hmm. And what was it
Mountaineers,
like? Yeah. Were you a Mountaineer at heart growing up?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Are you kidding? Yeah, we grew up about 25, 30 miles south of Morgantown. So, yeah, you're a Mountaineer fan. You're a West Virginia University fan.
Yeah.
Jerry West.
Jerry West. Wow. The logo.
Man.
The logo of the NBA, yeah. Who knew that it would be from West Virginia?
I did.
Yeah. Yeah. But he came all the way down to Texas to play his college ball at Wayland Baptist, and he scored 1,209 points. Coop, when he coaches, is kind of known for his defense, but I think you were one of the 12th in all-time leading score at one point. It's dropped a little bit now because of the way the game's played.
Probably quite a bit.
But that's 1,200 points is legit.
I was not, I can promise you, in that time period, I was not noted for my defense.
Okay. Yeah. And then he made really, I would say, a national name, wouldn't you, Jimmy, on the coaching scene, first at Wayland, and then at West Texas A&M, where we got to really know him, 20 years there. But that's 546 wins Coop has, and he's leading winningest coach on both those programs. A couple more here. 152 at Wayland, 394 at West Texas, 6-time Lone Star Conference Coach of the Year, 10 times in the NCAA tournament. You can go on and on with that. But he's really not one to sit still. After he got out of coaching, he was the athletics director at Wayland and was the Sooner Athletic Conference AD of the year there in 2000. I think it was 17-18 season. And then 3 years ago, he joined his old buddy Mark Adams down at Texas Tech, and he was the chief of staff for the men's basketball program. And then now, we were just talking about that off camera, but Randall County Commissioner Precinct 1, waiting to take that role completely. So let's welcome him into the Fieldhouse. Rick Cooper, thanks for joining us today.
I'm really glad to be here. I mean, who would not like to be here talking to you guys? And I appreciate you guys having me on.
When you see those numbers, what do you think, Jimmy?
Well, it speaks for itself. I mean, and the cool part about it is I got to watch it firsthand, up front.
Yeah.
Not the Wayland years, but all the WT years. I was working at WT when Rick came, and we met when he first got to campus, and I was there a year and a half before I came to Kids Inc., running the alumni office, and so I got to know Rick during that time, and we've remained friends. But I've watched his business at WT up close and personal, and know so many of his players and all of his coaches, and
Yeah.
but
Great.
his family, they're friends of ours. His family are friends of ours. My wife worked for his wife. We go way back, and so Corey was a student at Bonham when Kim was working
right.
at Bonham,
Yep.
and so and Tyler too, and
Yep.
so we go way back with the Cooper family. And
That's awesome.
They're just good people, and I could go on and on about that.
Oh, yeah, Coop's-
about the
Coop,
incredible
our
people
first
they are.
question on the podcast is always, what's the best thing that happened to you today?
Well, the thing I'd want to say more than anything else is how thankful I am for this Chamber of Commerce morning that we're experiencing right now. I mean, it's great weather. It is so, and in our part of the country, you become weather aware, I guess would be
That's a good word.
Be the way you'd put that. And we've had a little bit of rain, so feel really blessed to have that kind of day and the little bit of rain that we've had, and grateful for that, and glad for the ranchers and the farmers. I mean, that's such a big part of our. Of what goes on in our world. So
Yeah, weather aware. They may not need to steal that, Doppler Dave and those guys. I like that phrase.
Joke. You got to
Hey.
have those trade lines.
Hey, when you hear all those numbers, when you, kind of look back on your career, what do you think when somebody's reading all that stuff off?
Well, I'm reminded of the relationships, and if you coach, you know that those are like byproducts of the relationships and the work that a whole lot of people put in. So I've been really blessed. Jimmy, we've seen a lot of changes now since 1993.
Big time.
When we you go, the campus doesn't look the same anymore, right? And so those relationships and being able to experience those things with the friends and the people you mentioned, Jimmy mentioned our staff. I mean,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
family for us. I mean, so blessed to have those people in our lives and to help us raise our family, and so that's what I really think about. That I don't remember. I wish people ask me all the time, "Hey, do you remember this game or do you remember this?" And I'm going, "Nah, I really don't." But I do remember the relationships, and I'm grateful for those.
You know what the bet used to be on the sidelines? Overs and unders on how long it was going to take him to take his jacket off.
What was the fastest?
So
Pretty quick. On occasion.
sidelines, what I remember would be like Corey when she was when we came to WT, Tyler was in second grade. He went to first grade in Plainview, but Corey hadn't started school yet.
Yeah.
And she would meet me at the end of the bench and ask me if we won, which kind of puts it in perspective for you. I'd say, yeah, we won. And
So what made you take the coat off? I mean,
I don't remember I really think that's a myth. There are a lot of
no,
myths.
that's
no
I
myth.
don't really remember
that was
taking
a Coop staple.
it was, depending on, the box was not air conditioned too, though.
Yeah, right.
I will make
Now I'll give you that.
Yeah. The box, though, playing in the old Fieldhouse, nothing like it was.
It was a great place to play.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it was an incredible place to play. I can still remember looking up and seeing the kids sitting in the. Probably messed something up there.
No, we're good.
And looking up and seeing the kids hanging over the rail, and and there were some games there that was packed. And so it was a great place to play. Great place to play basketball, and certainly a great place to play volleyball right now. I mean, what they're doing there is incredible.
State of the art floor in there,
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Coop, Jimmy, I want to know, and I'll let Jimmy ask a few, but simply why coaching? You know what I mean? My dad was a coach. It's not easy, but it's great. When you're growing up a coach's kid, it's the best feeling ever. You're riding the bus when you're 8. You learn a few cuss words a little earlier than you should have, from the players,
Yeah.
just having fun with that. But those memories are forever. But, my dad just liked being, in fellowship with other men, other women, coaching and doing that. That's what he liked most about it, believe it or not. That's why he told me he stayed in it so long. What about you? Why coaching?
Well, part of a team. I mean, there's working with others toward a common goal and experiencing the things that go along with those challenges, the successes, the failures. I mean,
Yeah.
the idea that you can lift each other up when things don't go the way you want it to go. That's what I enjoyed the most, is just working. Our staff was, as I said, was like family, and that was just a big part of it. Working. I think great lessons. You learn great lessons in that process. It's kind of if you love the game, it's a little bit of a natural transition sometimes but coaching is not the same as playing. I'm going to, and that's
Yeah.
sort of an error that some young people make. But it's I love competition and the idea of competition, and love working with others and being part of a team. I don't think there's anything like it. That kind of camaraderie and the things, all the good things that go along with that.
Yeah. Real quick story. My dad was fired, at Campus Colts, Wichita, Kansas, just outside of Hayesville. But the way he brought it home to the family was, hey, we're moving to Colorado. You know what I mean? So I couldn't even told he was fired for maybe till probably I was in high school. I was chatting with him one time. So a lot of great experiences like that.
Oh, I was a coach's kid. I got my dad in trouble one time. Went to a track meet with him. I was probably 7 or 8. And we get home, long day, and Mom's got supper ready, and we're sitting down to eat, and Dad was washing his hands. Mom said, well, what'd you learn today? And I said, Dad spits like the grasshoppers. She said, what? I said, when you hold a grasshopper and they spit, it's brown. I said, Dad spits like the grasshoppers. Bill, you been chewing tobacco? And I went, uh-oh. I didn't know. I just thought my dad spit brown spit.
That's awesome.
I got him in big trouble.
It's a great thing to be able to raise your family in that environment too. I'm just going to tell you. I mean, you do. I have some stories that probably can't. I'm not going to share in this environment about some of the things my kids learned. Most of them from me.
Yeah.
Some words they might have learned. That's a great thing. I mean, to raise your family in that environment and for them to learn early the value of teamwork and sacrifice of self for the betterment of the whole. And that's what a large part of athletics is.
Well,
So
they're around the other coaches. They're
Yeah,
around
exactly.
everybody involved in that same team-oriented dynamic, and
That's
and
exactly
that rubs
right.
off.
Absolutely.
That
That's
rubs off.
exactly right.
Hey, we're going to hop out of here for a quick break. We got a lot of questions here for Coop. Obviously, Coop NIL and the portal has taken over the college basketball world as well as college in athletics in general. So we want your insight on that. You've experienced that. Plus, Jimmy, how intense was this man when he coached? Scale of 1 to 10.
Well, when the game began, he was 1. By the time that coat came off, we were boiling.
Everybody has their own
level.
style, and Coop's teams played so hard. We'll ask him how he got him to do that, and then and now we got to ask him what inspired him to run for I guess serving the community in a different way. And we'll be back. Can't thank you enough for joining us on the Fieldhouse Podcast today. Stick with us.
Before we dive back into today's episode, let me share a fun fact with you. Did you know that the Fieldhouse Podcast is a production of the Kids Inc. Sports Network? That's right, Kids Inc. isn't just any sports organization. We have been a source for youth sports since 1945. From teaching kids the fundamentals of teamwork to fostering a love for the game, Kids Inc. is where champions are made. And here's the best part. As a listener of the Fieldhouse Podcast, you're a part of the Kids Inc. family too. Head over to kidsinc.org to learn more about current registrations, upcoming sports leagues, and how you can get involved in supporting your local young athletes. But wait, here's the kicker. Have you heard of the Rock Rose Sports Park Home Field Advantage campaign? It's a game changer for our community, aiming to provide state-of-the-art facilities for young athletes to train and compete. So if you believe in the power of sports to shape young lives and want to be a part of something truly special, check out kidsinc.org today and join us in making a difference. Together, let's continue to support the next generation of champions and to ensure that every child has the opportunity to succeed both on and off the field.
Hey, welcome back into the Fieldhouse Podcast. I'm your host, Lance Lunner. Another host over here, Jimmy Lackey. We got Rick Cooper in the house. Everybody around here knows Coop, a longtime basketball coach at WT, had a stint at Texas Tech, Wayland. Now he's in a political office. But, Jimmy, I know you had a couple of questions for Coop.
Yeah, and it's changed. I know things have changed since you were coaching even, and that hasn't been that long ago. But I want to know from somebody on the inside, what is it like to recruit to WT? Being a graduate there, spending all my time at West Texas, from a coaching perspective, what are the challenges recruiting to our university?
Great question, and gigantic part of the landscape that all the coaches down at WT face, really on a daily basis. It's very important to say that we believed if we got a young man on campus and got that person in the environment there, and met the professors and the other stakeholders in our program, that we had a really good chance to get that young man, because great play, campus is beautiful, people are incredible. It's obvious from the moment the person steps on campus down there that these are people that, not just in the athletic department, not just in the basketball program, but across campus, these are people that really care about that young man and about that young man's success. Just a quick story along those lines. Dr. Long he would allow us to bring recruits on campus, by his office to meet him. He really enjoyed that. And I got to thinking after a while, I guess, golly, man, we're bothering the president of the university and asking him to sit down and talk with these guys. And maybe he was really good at it, really good, and an excellent recruiter, and because he loved the university, and that came through. We kind of stopped doing it for a couple of kids. And I got a phone call one day as the president of the university. He says, "Hey, Rick, how you doing?" "I'm doing fine." "Dr. Long, how are you doing?" He says, "I'm just kind of wondering why you're not bringing those kids by anymore." He loved it, and he was really good at it.
Well, if you ask him the best part of his day, that was probably the best part of his day, was having y'all come by.
He loved it, and he was really good at it, and so that's a huge advantage to have people like that and an environment or a culture like that lends itself to, people want to be a part of that. So we knew that. Now, sometimes it's difficult to get a person on campus. We had to explain to a lot of kids that from Dallas that this was not Alaska, that we were not north of the Arctic Circle and that kind of thing, because that's what they were told. There's some disinformation. I know it's going to be hard to believe, but there's disinformation that takes place out there. So that's a challenge. And then one time and men's basketball in our part of the country has always been good. It's gotten a lot better, I think, even recently, but it's a population density issue sometimes. In order to find kids that could really play at the level that we would like to play at, or Coach Brown would like to play at, sometimes you have to travel to go do that. So that's a challenge. And and then I don't know, we probably don't have enough time to talk about all of it, but it's flying somebody to Amarillo, you fly through someplace else before you get to Amarillo. So anyway, a lot of challenges, but a lot of pluses. And like I said, because of the people and the campus, we believed that if we could get them here, we had a really good shot at getting them.
While we're on that topic of recruiting, so obviously name, image, likeness has taken over the big time basketball and college football world, as well as the portal, where a young man or young woman can go just transfer, basically.
Right.
You experienced that at Texas Tech. So how challenging is that part of coaching now?
So it's another component in what was already a very complex and challenging task. It's another, and it's a very, like you said, I don't know if taken over is exactly the way I would phrase it. It is the model that we all grew up with as far as recruiting and student athletes access to funds outside of the university. Or that model's, somebody threw it on the ground and shattered it. It's gone. And so name, image, and likeness is a gigantic part of the landscape now, big part of the landscape now. But the way you got to look at that and is that this is another opportunity for a young person to learn to develop their brand, to monetize to, some of the very, very hard work they've put in up until that point in time, and it's here to stay. And as far as name, image, and likeness, it's a really good thing. We're going to see it. I feel certain. I don't know this for sure. I haven't talked to anybody that really knows, but there probably are already student athletes at WT that are taking advantage of it in some shape or form. But it will become more prevalent at our level at West Texas at Division II. I'm sure across the nation it is. And already. And so, you just have to look at it like it's an opportunity for a student athlete to develop their brand. And that's a good thing. They can learn a lot from that. And it is what it is. It's part of the scene now.
Coop, it's kind of the wild, wild west, though. Do as a coach in that, do you guys, are there enough rules, containing what can actually go on? Or are you okay with it? Just everybody kind of on their own doing it?
Well,
because there's some extravagant numbers, and you don't have to tell us numbers, but we hear like some of the better athletes can simply go to you guys and say, at that level, I'm talking Division I,
at Power 5,
Power 5,
because there's a difference now.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Power 5, they can say, hey, my NIL number is 300,000. Can you match it? You think that's going on? That simple of a conversation?
I'm sure that's going on. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm positive that's
bigger
going
numbers,
on.
but yes,
bigger numbers. Yeah,
and in some cases, much bigger numbers.
Yeah.
I'm sure, that's happening, and it's not really supposed to work. It's not really intended to work that way.
Right.
And it came in. I was in a compliance meeting. We were talking about that a minute ago. I was in that compliance meeting on July 1st when you could do that, and I can, and I could, again, we could talk a long time about this if we wanted to, but that compliance meeting was different than the last one I was in at Texas Tech concerning responsibilities related to name, image, and likeness. And because it evolved so quickly, it changed so quickly. And that's what you're seeing right now.
Okay.
Some of that's going to evolve naturally, organically, where some of those numbers will adjust because some of the numbers we're seeing are probably unsustainable in the economy that city or whatever, and then some of it's going to change legislatively. The NCAA is going to be able to. And I don't know how much the NCAA can really do about this if you want to know the truth, but establish some guardrails. The state of Texas has a law, in place that relates to name, image, and likeness requirements. There's talk of a federal legislation soon. So it's an evolving process. This is America, though. And a person should be, these student athletes have, or somebody else was making for a long time. Someone else was making money on their name. So they should be able to do that. And I think in the long haul, it's going to be a good thing, but it's going to look a lot different to guys like us.
Let's pare that down to a situation at WT, though. And let's just put it down through the funnel a little bit and tell me if I'm wrong here. So you got a kid, pick a sport, doesn't matter, male or female. A $5,000 or $10,000 NIL deal could mean the difference for them whether they can come to school or not. Because they're not, you didn't have 100% of your athletes fully funded with scholarship dollars.
No, not at all.
And so, you're looking, some are applying for Pell Grants or there's other financial assistance available. Maybe they've got an academic angle to their resume that allows them to do that. But an NIL deal for them on a small scale, a $5,000 deal could be the difference for them being able to pay to come to school or not.
Absolutely.
To close the margin of difference for what the school or the athletic department can provide them in form, especially at the Division II level, in the form of a scholarship, a 0.6 or a 0.5 or whatever you can do with that scholarship money. There's still a gap for most of them. Not all of them are 100%.
There's a high percentage of those kids who are not on full scholarship.
Exactly. That's my point.
Or combined scholarship with academics or whatever. Yeah. And so the ability to, absolutely, the ability to make a deal like that will assist them in going to college and paying for college or helping at home or whatever, and will enhance the connection between them and the community. That's a good thing, that's a really good thing. And but it's really new, yeah. And there's a lot of I don't have. I promise you, I don't know everything there is about it. I've been out about a year now, and it's changed a lot
That's
in
amazing.
that year. So,
Yeah.
but it's part of the landscape right now, and it's let me put it this way: if Tyler or Corey were back in school, and I went to a unit, they were looking at a particular school. Of course, you're going to ask, what are you doing to help? Are you guys doing anything to help with name, image, and likeness, that experience that in that arena for my son or daughter? Because that's an opportunity for them. And if somebody else is doing it and you're not, then you actually hurt your ability to recruit, but you're also missing out on a chance to help that student athlete.
Well, when I was a student, I wasn't an athlete. I had an opportunity to work. Those athletes don't have that opportunity most of the time, because from August to May, they're committed to that athletic program as much as they are to the classroom.
Yeah.
And so that opportunity for them to earn some extra dollars is tight. And that's where I'm coming from is, at our level, those smaller deals like that can mean the difference between us getting a kid being able to bring them to WT, or us missing out on them going somewhere else.
It's also the combination of, social media, this is name, image, and likeness. It's not a new thing.
No.
It was absolutely controlled by the NCAA, that what a student athlete could do in that area to make money off their basketball or track skill or whatever. But on most campuses for a long, long time, the largest name, image, and likeness earners might have been on the dance or cheer squad, because they weren't subject to NCAA restrictions attached to that.
Now there's $2.7 billion worth telling them we're going to do it a little differently now.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, but I think you add in, Coop, the portal with the NIL, and that's a double kind of the perfect storm that has hit the coaches specifically. And maybe I'm speaking out on this, but I think a guy like Nick Saban, I'm not going to do it. And he, with his financial background, with his success already, he's able to do something like that, like step away. What's your thought on that? The portal and the NIL, are we chasing some good coaches out of the profession?
So, when the portal, when it became possible for a student athlete to transfer like that without what was changed was the no longer had to sit out. A student athlete no longer has to sit out. They can transfer and they can be eligible immediately. And that in some ways has really affected even the NCAA Division II schools, because it used to be you could transfer from Division I to Division II and not sit out, and now you can go Division I to Division I. And again, that's a long story, but that happened at the same time. Basically, that change took effect at the same time. Name, image, and likeness. Those rules came into play, and so it was a dramatic change, and it kind of lended itself to the example you used earlier, where you say, "Hey, I got $300,000 to go over here. Can you match or beat that?"
Yeah.
Now, I promise you that at least this. I promise. That's really. I can't promise you this. I believe that you probably cannot buy a national championship. That a student
Really?
Kids, no, I just don't think you can. I just think that if somebody comes to your university just for the money, they're probably coming for the wrong reason. They're not coming for the education. They're not coming to be part of the team. They're getting it's it's the wrong reason to choose. I think you've actually seen some pretty high profile Division I universities that have tried to do that it hasn't worked out as for them.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
And so I don't know who spent the most money in to buy their football team, but there are some football teams that spent a lot of money, football programs that weren't playing for a national championship this past year. So I think kids still have to, I think you got to kind of still play for the brand.
Yeah.
And that's one of the changes on the downside. When you're talking about the portal, what we used to enjoy was a young man or a young lady coming to our campus and playing there 4 years. And we got to watch them graduate, and we got an invitation to their wedding or something like that. And I think that's sort of one of the things that may get lost in this, that we won't get to know those kids and get the attachment to them that we've all enjoyed and like to have.
Yeah, to that point, you have to recruit your team every year.
You sure do.
Which
Yeah.
really wasn't in the
Yeah.
in the landscape. You kind of said, "Hey, we need to improve this, or we need 4 freshmen this year, or whatever." You could kind of gauge it.
Yeah.
So,
If you're at Arkansas, you get to recruit your whole team.
yeah.
Well, the idea
Well, I
of
think
developing a player too. You think
Yeah.
about,
Yeah,
we're gonna take the project player and we're gonna develop that person, and that's tough. I mean, I don't know if you'll see a whole. I mean, that's changed. So it's not the same anymore. It's different, but it's the kind of the law of the land right now, and the quicker you kind of get involved and figure out a way. Again, it's a learning opportunity.
Yeah.
My biggest fear
I like that.
in my time at Tech was that a young person's going to get messed up in some type of contract obligation that and Tech did some great things to try to assist and help their student athletes understand the complexities of what is now a business opportunity for them. That wasn't there before.
Yeah.
And so you have to understand contract. You can get yourself in a lot of trouble signing a contract and then deciding we all know that as an adult, but those 18-year-olds don't all know that.
Yeah, no, they're out there to play, but
Before we dive back into the next segment, we would like to introduce the group that has contributed to the production of the Fieldhouse Podcast, Rogers Lead WT.
This year's lead scholars are Kyle Brown, Cade Cox, Morgan Ellerton, and Jenna Hurd, and Riley Miller. We partnered with Kids Inc. to create a podcast that would reach the sports community and make an impact on the community for years to come.
Rogers Lead WT is a 2-year leadership program at West Texas A&M University that select college students, develop their leadership skills, and gives them the opportunities that every college student should take advantage of.
The core values of Rogers Lead WT are integrity, service, excellence, teamwork, and dreaming big. And every lead scholar gets the opportunity to enhance these qualities as they develop into the leaders of the next generation.
And with that, we would like to thank the Kids Inc. staff and Jimmy for allowing us to be part of this amazing production. Now with that, back to the Fieldhouse Podcast.
go ahead.
Well, you got to coach your son,
I
Yeah,
did.
that's cool.
and
That's what I was
not everybody gets to do that. I went to a playoff game. WT played at Northwest Missouri in football in 08, and cold. I mean, freezing cold. Craig and I went. We're in the metal bleachers. They didn't sweep the snow off our side. So all these men are in the bathroom at halftime. It's the only place there's a heater. And Coop calls me. He says, "Hey, you realize you're only 2 hours from Lincoln, and Corey has a game tonight." So we hightailed it to Lincoln that
Wow.
night and got to watch her play there. Sit on mid row and right there courtside, but you got to coach your kid too. And so I've watched both of your children do their thing. But what's that like to get to coach your own son?
Well, for me, it was really the highlight, one of the major highlights of my career. And you probably have to bring Tyler in here and get his side to really know the truth. But I enjoyed it. It was a thrill. It was a lot of fun. I even not necessarily the coaching side. The coaching side of it was great, and he was very intelligent player, and but I enjoyed having him come by the office and sit down for a few minutes to watch film, and it was a really, really great experience. And I've got, as we all do, we have friends who coach their kids, and sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
In some instances, it's not a great experience. I mean, I think, but for me, it was, and I hope it was for Tyler, but for me it was, and I hope it was for his teammates and who were great with him, and I'll forever be indebted to that group. I mean, it's still some of his best friends, there are people that he played with.
If I remember correctly, there was a time where Chris was there, so he had a teammate from Emerald High with him. He had Kyle there from Paladura. You had Steve there from Tascosa, and you had one from Caprock, and name's forgetting me.
Mitchell, yeah.
Yeah, but you had one from all 4 of the high schools while Tyler was there, and that was always cool to see too. Is we had all 4 of our high schools, and that doesn't happen very often. all on that one team, and all of them were contributors to the.
We were
club.
blessed that we won a conference championship over at Southeastern Oklahoma State. They were hosting by virtue of their win-loss record, and they were hosting the conference tournament. I think the Lady Buffs were actually hosting here at the time in Canyon, and we both won conference tournament championships.
Yep.
In that, and that team had Steve and
Kyle Shields.
Yeah, Kyle and Tyler, and
Yep.
a lot of those kids
Chris
were from.
Hines.
I'm really kind of proud of that. Those
Yep.
kids.
Yeah,
from,
no, that
from
was
here.
that was a fun run.
But that's a credit to the coaches. Tyler had really good coaches while he was growing up, and so did Corey. Corey had great coaches, and we were, again, that's part of one of the many blessings about living in this part of the country is that you just have access to those kind of resources. And
Well, up till 2019, my favorite sporting event ever was going to Corey's game. I got to go to the Army Navy game in 2019.
I'm sure that was really good.
I had to put that one above
Those-
that one.
Well, I
they
mean,
packed him in there for that
But going
Nebraska
there
volleyball.
and seeing that environment, scalping tickets out in front of the deal. We go up to the will call door, and they go, "Oh, no, you need to go to the east entrance because you're with Corey, and they're going to have you over there." And they treated us like royalty. We're in our WT stuff. We're frozen. Been out in that snow all day long, and I mean, my gosh, they had a spread in there. We had to go in and grab something
You saw
to
what
eat.
they did
and-
with the outdoor match.
Yeah.
That was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Coop, also in that line with family, you have quite a tree of coaches out there who played for you, who became coaches. Do you always, is that kind of a badge of honor? That kind of something that makes you proud when you see these guys succeeding or just getting into the profession that you devoted your life to?
Well, what you would hope when you're in the roles that I've been in is that those young people would see that as something they would want to do. That you'd hope hey, I was not, we all watched me. I was not always the best example, role model. Promise you that.
I think that was your style, though,
But
Coop.
but you would hope that you would, in the course of conversation and the course of your actions over the body of work type thing over the long haul, that those individuals would see that as something that they would want to do. Because I'm telling you something, we need really good people in the teaching and coaching profession. We really need that. And it's getting tougher every year. I'm telling you, what the young people are experiencing that are going into that profession right now is a lot tougher and a lot more than what I had to deal with when I was coming up through a system. So, and you have to understand that, I think, as moving forward. But I was really blessed to have some great people. I mean, you start looking that I got the chance to work with.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not gonna. This is just reality of it. I'm telling you, I learned a lot more from those people than they learned from me. I was blessed to have those Steve Jackson, Jason. I mean, I'd miss somebody if I tried to name them all. But excellent coaches, but even more importantly, excellent people and incredible contributors to the community. Not all of them are coaching. I mean, Jason Campbell lives here and is worked with Randall basketball this past year. I think he's going to work with Kendall Cogburn. Told me that he was going to work with his pro. I mean, I'm just saying, I'm really proud to be associated with those individuals as much as anything.
Hey, real quick on your style of coaching, was it just, you were intense, you demanded them play defense, little things, but that intensity level was kind of what you were legendary about. And your teams played hard all the time, which is kind of the ultimate compliment, in my humble opinion, of a well-coached team. But when you got into coaching, did you say, "Hey, I'm going to be this style," or did you just kind of go with the?
I don't think anybody that really coaches says, "Hey, I'm going to do maybe a style."
Okay.
If you I don't look at me right now. You can tell I don't know anything about style. Okay. But I mean, you just sort of, I guess you have to coach your personality or how you can't fool people. You can't fool young people. You can't fool fans. You can't fool people in West Texas. I can promise you that. So you have to try to be, I guess it's the word thing I would say is I was just being my idiot self sometimes. I mean, you
You
just try to
be
be
you.
authentic. Yeah, me
Yeah.
being
You be
yeah,
you.
yeah. I
Yeah,
don't
I like
know.
it.
I don't know. It was, sometimes the person that the person that hurt the most was me because, you can get pretty worked up over there, and that's not always a healthy deal.
Oh, it's, everybody in the stands that watched you just knew that's commitment, that's loyalty, that's, your players saw that as we're not quitting. Win, lose, or draw, there was just no quit in a
Yeah,
Cooper,
no, I agree.
Cooper coach team. And
I will say this, if you watch the great coach Jason Pillion over at Emerald High, there's a little coop in him. There's a little coop in him there.
Well, that's all Jason. I mean, Jason's
he's
a
proud
very
of that, though,
intense.
I'm just saying.
Well,
It's-
he is a golly. I think he's the coach of the year this year of the Panhandle Sports. This coming up this weekend, and that guy can really coach.
Yeah.
I mean, this team this past year got better every month.
Rick had a point guard one year, Chip.
Yeah.
And always he was going, Chip, come here. Chip, come here. Chip,
I still hear from him.
That summer, I asked Coop, I said, did you recruit any more of those Khmer kids? And he looked at me and said, what? I go, well, Chip's brother, his last name's Khmer. And he goes, no, it's not. I go, well, you're always telling him, come here. Chip, come here. Always.
I like
Classic.
that. I like that. So, you got anything else?
Yeah, I do. I got one, and it's way off base here, but I'm just curious. You're a West Virginia guy. Guy that was a grad assistant for you is now the head women's basketball coach at the University of West Virginia.
Yeah.
And 2 or 3 years ago, our women played in the national tournament against a young lady from a team, Glenville State.
Sure. Yeah.
Kim Stevens, whose dad was very renowned high school basketball coach. And I followed her because I was so impressed with their style. And they ended up winning that national title that year. She ends up one more year at Glenville and got the job at Marshall.
Yeah, she's now coaching at Marshall.
And now she is the head women's basketball coach at the University of Tennessee.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
First non-lineage out of Pat Summitt's world. West Virginia kid.
Well, if you knew where Glenville was too, Glenville is kind of out in the. We would go through Glenville on our way to. My mom's got some land over in Calhoun County, West Virginia, and I think there's railroad track there now. But for a long time, there was not even a railroad track in Calhoun County. It's an isolated part of the state and kind of over on the near the Ohio River, and Glenville's over there, and so that's I appreciate that level of success.
Apparently, her dad was a well-known high school basketball coach in West Virginia, and I was enamored with the way they played. We played them in the quarterfinals that year. Lady Buffs did, and they just put 5 in. So she goes to Marshall for 1 year. They hadn't been in the NCAA tournament since '97. She goes 18-1 in conference, wins the tournament championship, and takes them to the tournament last year. And next thing you know, now she's at the University of Tennessee. Those are big shoes.
Yeah, it's gigantic.
Coming from West Virginia, I'm sorry, but those are still big shoes.
And we're proud of Mark too.
Yeah,
we're
Mark's
proud
done
of
a good job.
Coach Kellogg's just done an extraordinary job there, and they love him. I got I've got a bunch of family members who are now women's basketball fans up there. That's really
I got taken out by Iowa, but it was a great game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if they could have gotten a call.
I agree. I think a lot
know?
of people agreed. The national media with Caitlin Clark in that game, particularly,
Yeah,
a lot of heavyweight
yeah.
Commentators
Yeah.
had the same view you did.
Yeah.
So, Coop, I had one more before you get out. If you could give advice to maybe a young athlete there trying to improve or get to that college level, or just have a great high school career, or a parent trying to develop that athlete, what piece of advice would you give them?
Oh wow, that's I would maybe
I know
one,
that's an all-encompassing question, but
be coachable. I think what's really important in the development of a young athlete, a person who wants to be successful. I don't think this is limited to just athletics, but I think everybody's got to really work very hard at playing their roles well, if that makes sense. I mean, you see sometimes where a young person has a coach, but they've also got a coach up in the stands sometimes who's being the parent. Who's the parent? And so you get role confusion there. And I think, one of the things Janie and I, at least I hope we tried to do this, is we wanted to let our coaches that were coaching our children play their role, and we were fortunate. We had really good ones and they played it well. But we also wanted to play our role as parents and not be the coach when they got home. And I think there's a lot of things to say. The young person needs to be coachable, needs to be willing to be coached, and needs to listen, and needs to put in the time and put in the work and understand understand what's really important about, have their priorities right. And, I guess is what I'm really trying to say. And that's not always putting athletics first. That's not what I'm saying. But everybody play their role well and put the work and time and effort in. And there's just usually a place for everyone. But everybody also has to stop playing something, Lance.
Yeah.
we don't all get to play forever.
No, I agree. I agree. Mine was cut short very quickly in high school. You know what I mean?
Well, I'll take it a step further and use me as an example. I loved sports, but you don't know what's going to happen to a kid. I got my right eye put out the BB gun when I was 10 years old. You better have another plan, especially if you're in the high school level and you're counting on that kid doing something, and if something like that happens, it changes your world.
Yeah.
And so what's your plan B?
Yeah.
They need to have a backup plan. Because, like you said, they're not going to play forever.
I could not agree more. And I think sports, some ways, teaches us that you got to have. You can't just have one. You've got to have a plan. You got to have a backup plan if things don't work.
Yeah, it doesn't always work.
Yeah, everybody's got a plan until they get hit in the face, isn't it?
Yeah. I think if you're a boxer, especially.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like the Canyon Eagle baseball team. I've been in touch with those guys a bit here recently with this playoff run, and they are not the most talented team in Texas by any means. But you want to talk about all players playing for something other than themselves, it makes all the difference in the world. It really does.
Yeah,
and they're playing for their coach who's retiring.
Talent's probably one of the most overused, worn out words in sports. I mean, what you're describing right there is actually a talent also.
Yeah, and there's some good players, don't get me wrong.
But playing together.
Oh, yeah. It's amazing to watch this.
Playing hard.
Yeah.
Knowing your role, all those things.
That's what I was going to say. Playing your role.
They really are great success stories.
Hey, Coop, do you miss the sideline at all?
I do, yeah, of course, yeah, I do. Yeah, I mean, there's times I miss it. There's times I don't miss it at all when I see what some of what you go through as a coach. But sure, I do miss it a little bit.
Did you enjoy the preparation as much as the game?
I really like the games were very stressful for me. I loved practice.
Yeah,
and I loved.
Joe Lombard was the same way.
Planning the practices.
Coop, loves practice.
Yeah.
What is it about practice, man?
That's almost a meme.
Yeah, that is
just about. Because that's when that's kind of the difference between some club sports and AAU sports. They play a lot more than they practice.
A lot more games, yeah.
And I don't know if that's really a good thing. I think so much of the development comes in practice, and that's when you can break down the game and teach the game. And you talked about playing hard. That's really when you establish those standards that you hope carry over into the games. We always told our kids, and I don't want to bore you with any of this, but we always told them, hey, we're trying to make practice much harder than what you'll see in a game, and we want to stress our players so they'll be able to handle that stress when the lights come on. And we also were aware that what would occur would be game slippage, that if you could do it in practice, because the lights are on, because the scoreboard's on, because you have an opponent that's practice to beat you, there'll be some slippage. So we wanted to work really hard to have good practices and intense practices, and we hope that those habits carried over to competition.
Well, you said it earlier, people in the Panhandle know fake. You can pick fake apart real fast.
You sure can.
And you can pick a kid that hadn't prepared.
Mm-hmm.
And you can also tell when a coach hadn't prepared them too.
Yes, you can.
And it all rises to the top when it comes to that level. So yeah, the practice part, the fundamentals, it still comes back to fundamentals. And my dad, was a football coach. If you can't block, can't tackle, you're not gonna work.
Yeah, that's what
can't do it.
It's not real complicated.
Yeah, that's yeah. I agree with you guys 100% on that. Coop, anything you want to add that we haven't asked you? You maybe came in and just said, "Man, I think I want to talk about this."
I love talking to you guys. So
We appreciate you so much coming
So
in.
you're going to take office in January. You're going to
Yeah.
be Randall County Commissioner, and you had a primary, but you don't have another opponent. So you're
that's
just
what it looks like. Yeah, I've
ask
never
him
done this before. So
I asked him when he came in today. I said, "How's commissioner prep going?" And I will tell you this because I got to watch it firsthand on this deal. He met with every department head. He's done exactly what he would do if he were coaching. He's planned. He's game planned it. He's met the people that he needs to meet. He's digging in and doing the homework, and our county's going to be better for it because he's taking it very seriously.
No,
I've been able to watch it from a firsthand.
That's
space.
cool, yeah. And Coop's well read. I mean, I know you're kind of a research guy as well. I think that's what you have to do in this. But what are your, if you don't mind, just a couple things. What's your biggest concern or challenge do you think ahead of you?
Well, the most important thing is the Randall County is because of the great leadership that we've got, and those department heads and the individuals that make up those departments is very well run. I mean, a low stable tax rate. I mean, it's a great place to raise a family. It's a great place for a business. It's a great place to live and work. And so when you say what's the greatest challenge, I'm trying not to mess that up. I want to keep it out of the ditch.
Sometimes
don't drive it into the ditch. So really what you are in that role, it looks like to me, is you're a small cog in a very, very big and what's right now is a very well run and successful machine. And so I'm really blessed. I want those department heads I was always concerned about. Golly, man, I'm mad. These guys don't know me, and I could get beat in this election. But they took the time and effort to really help me understand. That's what I'm trying to do right now. Just learn.
What piqued your interest to do this?
Well, Precinct 1 is currently being served by Rusty Carnes really well. He's done a great job. He's not seeking re-election, and so. I guess the need when I became aware of the need and then Jane and I've lived in that precinct for the bulk of the time that we've lived here in Canton, which is a long time now.
Yeah.
And love that precinct and love Randall County. And
I mean, but you could be out hunting, chasing grandkids, which you will be.
I plan on doing that too.
I know. But
So,
not everybody says, "Hey, I'm going to jump in."
I mean, maybe it's that drive to be part of a good team. Maybe that idea that
cool.
I enjoy being part of a good team, and I think that's certainly a good team, and I'm honored to represent those people, and hope I can help. I'm going to try to, but
he'll do a great job.
Yeah, you guys ready to hop out of here?
Yeah.
Hey, Coop, we can't thank you enough.
Thank you.
Made our day today coming in. So that's Rick Cooper. Jimmy, as always, great questions. Thanks for coming in.
Glad to have you back.
All right, yeah. Hey, this was the Fieldhouse Podcast. Thanks for joining us. Remember, it's a production of the Kids Inc. Sports Network. We're so thankful. And like I said earlier, if you have anybody you'd like us to interview, let us know. Thanks for tuning in today. We'll see you soon.
Ready to dive deep into the heart of sports? Then tune in, because that is exactly what we are here for at the Fieldhouse Podcast. But the Fieldhouse Podcast isn't just about us talking sports. It's about all of us, our community, our passions, and our love for the game. That's why we're reaching out to any and all local businesses who want to get in early on the action. Whether you're a restaurant looking to pack the house on game day, or a fitness center wanting to help our listeners take their game to the next level, we want to partner with you. By sponsoring the Fieldhouse Podcast, you're not just getting your brand out there, you're becoming a part of our sports family. Reach out to us today at fieldhouse@kidsinc.org. That's KIDSINC.org.